Welcome into an exclusive Tiger TV interview. I'm Sports Director Brie, Andras, joined by Head Coach Brian Kelly. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
So we're just going to talk a little bit about last season and jump into next season as well. Your first year in Baton Rouge, what did you expect, and did everything exceed your expectations?
The food was great.
Really? What's your favorite food?
I would have to say the local favorites, probably etouffee, some gumbo, the crawfish. I've loved it all, so it's been great.
What did you expect with the football season, and how's that exceeded your expectations?
Well, I think you come in, knowing that there was some work to do. Certainly the team, was below expectations. That's why I was hired. But I was really proud of our kids in the way that they accepted new standards. And certainly we had to raise the standards. That's the expectation here at LSU. And I thought they did a great job. I mean, there were some ups and downs during the season, but, again, anytime you win the SEC West and play for an SEC championship, that's the kind of start that we wanted. And so I think all in all, it was a good first year for us.
And going off of what you said about the team you inherited, how did you build that relationship with them for them to trust you with the team you inherited, but also the guys that you brought in as well?
Well, I think that they came to LSU wanting to win a championship. And so they knew, finishing last, things had to change. And so, we came in with a plan, a vision, and I think it started with our seniors and our upperclassmen, really being good leaders for us. They were committed, they were consistent on a day-to-day basis, and I think that brought others with them. And look, you don't get trust overnight. It took some time, but I think we built that trust on both sides. They began to trust us because we said what we meant, and we did what we said. And I think over a period of time, we built that trust, and our guys believed in us.
Now, going to Jaden Daniels, he had a very impressive season. He started off having some mistakes, but we saw that he continuously progressed throughout the season. What would you like to see from him more so next year to continue to improve?
Well, build on that, right? I mean, you're absolutely right. Certainly, here's a young man that came into a new offense. Certainly in the SEC, the competition was better. And there was some, obviously, a learning curve for him. But we saw as the season progressed, he upped his play. His confidence level was much better as the season progressed, and I think now we want to see him be that elite player in the league. And I think he's capable of doing that. He's having a great offseason, and we're excited about what we're going to see from him in 2023.
One thing I noticed that I really respect about your coaching style was that when you did see mistakes through the games, the very next week it seemed like they were automatically fixed, which is something that in the last 2 seasons LSU fans didn't really get to see much of. So how much is this game mental as much as it is physical? Because I've heard you speak about that before. Yeah,
well, I think a lot of it is these kids have a lot of pride, and they pay attention to the little things, and their attention to detail has been really good. And I think a lot of that is mental, right? I mean, their physical ability is outstanding. That's why they're at LSU. But I think what they've really understood that it's not just about the physical. It is about attention to detail and being focused. And I think that's really where they've made a big improvement. And that's why I think you've seen some corrections of some of those details that needed to be cleaned up from week to week.
Spring football starting in about 2 weeks. What are your expectations? What are something fans should look out for? And what's the overall vibe of spring football for you guys?
Yeah, I think, last year was putting in the offense and defense and getting to know everybody and laying down our process. And now I think we can build on that a little bit. I think we want to be able to see some guys play with more consistency and understanding what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. We're going to look for our guys to be better technically, in terms of their position. I think that we're going to be able to see the quarterbacks, obviously in both Garrett Nussmeier and Jaden Daniels, grow in that position. So I just think building off of last year, now that we had a year, I think you're going to see the development of this football team continue as we go through the spring.
And you had one of the top 10 recruiting classes in the country. What do you expect from those freshmen coming in? We saw a lot of great freshmen last season. Were you expecting the same thing this year?
Well, we're really excited about them, but you know, they got to come in and compete with some really good football players. But I think that there's some guys that are ready to play. We saw 2 true freshmen play for us last year with Emory Jones and Will Campbell at tackle. So certainly there are some talented young freshmen that play. We went into the transfer portal and brought in some more mature players as well. But you'll see some new faces, and I think the spring gives some of those guys an opportunity to come in and compete right away in the spring and give them a leg up when we get to the fall.
NIL still very new into the whole NCAA athletics world. How does that affect your team morale? Is there kind of like a jealousy, this person gets more NIL deals than the next, but also how does that affect recruiting?
Yeah, so I think it could be. I think we have a standardized NIL program that we've established within the ranks that kind of equalizes the locker room. And then let it be organic. In other words, if your name, image, and likeness allows you to build a bigger brand out there, then go ahead. It's free enterprise. But I think it starts with equalizing your locker room where everybody gets a piece of the pie. And then if you're out there and you're able to garner a bigger piece of the pie, that's what name, image, and likeness is about. So yeah, it is still new. I think we're starting to get a better sense and feel. We've had really good support within the community in assisting us with NIL. I think our NIL office here has done a really, really good job. Taylor Jacobs has started that and has really done a nice job of putting the framework together for us. So feel pretty good about it, and there's still some things that we have to navigate, but I think we're in a pretty good place.
The guys that have declared for the NFL draft, how are you feeling about them going into that? How do you help prepare them, I guess, give advice and stuff like that?
Yeah, so that's all a big decision for them. We've got 9 that are going to be in the combine this April, which is awesome to have 9 LSU players that are going to get a chance to show what they're physically capable of doing. Again, that's just one aspect. They still have to be able to show themselves from a football standpoint. But they'll come back to a pro day, which will give them an opportunity to do more drill work. And we're really just here for them. You know, they played at LSU. Many of them have already graduated from LSU. So we just want to be a resource for them as they move on to their professional careers, and they're always welcome back.
There's one thing that I'm really curious about that I just have to know. Do you have any pregame rituals, like a song you listen to or a specific thing you do before a game?
Not really, and this is my 32nd year of doing this, and I get asked that question all the time. You know, I'm meeting recruits, I'm on the sideline. There's so many things now going on prior to the game that I'm so busy leading up to the start of the game. I think, you know, LSU's traditions are great. I love listening to, you know, all of the great stories about LSU football, but there's nothing like calling Baton Rouge played in pregame. I mean, I think that's awesome because that kind of quiets my nerves down a little bit when I'm listening to the music. So, but no traditions that I've carried with me. Just get ready for the game and have some fun.
Have you learned all the words to call in Baton Rouge?
No, but I'm getting better at it. I am getting better at it, and I can sing in the words when everybody else starts to. So I'm probably as good as anybody else in the stands.
What's a typical day in the life of Brian Kelly as a head coach?
Well, each season is different. Like the fall season is, you know, a lot of preparation work, you know, getting ready for the next opponent. You know, that has a routine in itself. When the season's over, it's the recruiting routine. In the off season, it's a lot more being out in the community. So each part of the season, whether it's the football season or the recruiting season, or right now where we're developing our players, and I spend a lot more time off campus doing other things relative to our development. So I think it's broken up into 3 or 4 different seasons. All of them are pretty exciting, and that's why I love what I do.
You have a lot of guys on your team that are born and raised in Louisiana. Have they taught you anything about Louisiana culture or anything about Louisiana in general that you didn't know before?
Oh, I learned something about Louisiana that I didn't know every single day. What I think is most important is that when we talk about recruiting to LSU is doing a great job in state and recruiting the players, because the high school football here is so good. But there's just so many traditions, so many histories that I try to catch up on. I just think it's, for me, it's unique to any other state that I've been.
I was going to ask you, is LSU anything like any other school you've coached at?
No, it's unique in itself and its own traditions and the way they do things on a day-to-day basis. And you know, you get 2-3 days off from Mardi Gras. Who gets that? I mean, it's terrific. And we're going to get Good Friday off. I mean, if you're a Catholic, you love it. So no, it's been fun, and the history, the tradition. We talked about it earlier. The food, the family. And there's nothing like the football. So all in all, it's been amazing.
One word to describe your expectation for spring football.
I would say, more than anything else, fundamentals. You know, being really good at the fundamentals. If we do that, I think we come out of the spring getting ready for preseason camp.
All right. Thank you so much, Coach. We really appreciate it. That concludes Tiger TV's exclusive interview with head football coach Brian Kelly. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.